Good evening, everyone. It is Thursday, March 31st. There is an enormous amount of action that's going on around this country. We have winter weather advisories. There were many tornado warnings and severe thunderstorm warnings, which were in effect earlier today. The enhanced risk, the areas in Pennsylvania, including actually Baltimore, Washington, D.C., Scranton, Pennsylvania, was under an enhanced risk for severe weather today. That's not so usual over there. That's a 3 on a scale of 1 to 5. That's a number 3. That's something that you usually see out in the plains, but that's what it was today in the Pennsylvania area, Pennsylvania in particular. But that included northern Maryland, Baltimore. It did not include New York City. They were only at a 2. Yesterday, we had places in the south central states where all of Mississippi was at a level of a 4, which is really high, especially for them. They also, a 3 or 4 for that area. That's pretty normal. But the day before we had in the plains, it wasn't as high. That's due to a northern stream and the southern stream gathered together a little bit further east than what they usually do. So that storm system really started to intensify and get itself together a little bit further east than usual. That also brought the wind gusts down slightly here in the Chicago area. We're on the back side of the system now, and we actually just went through a period of snow, moderate snow here in the Chicago area. It only lasted a few minutes. This precipitation, which has been coming down frozen, but not really so often, that's moving off to the East Coast. As that cold front moves through, they enjoyed a day of unseasonably warm weather. Temperatures went into the 70s for much of New Jersey. Not everywhere in New Jersey, but much of New Jersey did see those high temperatures in the 70s. And we saw parts of the East Coast in the 80s, 70s. We even had a 90-degree reading in Orlando, Florida today. That was what the actual high was. Colder air comes in for tomorrow and the next day. Now, the current forecast calls for areas of snow squalls, which may develop off in the northeast for tomorrow. And those are the most dangerous. We have learned over the past week that that's probably almost perhaps the most dangerous weather that one can possibly encounter. Of course, a tornado, one would say, is even more dangerous. But the thing about a snow squall is that there really isn't much warning at all. And it happens within a period of, within seconds. All of a sudden, there's perfect visibility to all of a sudden white out conditions. You can't see in front of you. And if you're on the highway, when that happens, that's very dangerous. So the National Weather Service has introduced to us snow squall warnings a while back. Those things basically mean, I guess it means just don't go on the highway, because if you're on the highway and then there's a big issue, or just keep your distance between you and the car in front of you, they are a lot more dangerous than people ever thought. So now, the only thing, however, is that the snow squalls are probably not going to be as heavy this week as they were last week. In the Chicago area last Friday, we had a snow squall, and the National Weather Service issued a severe thunderstorm warning, and much of that precipitation was falling down as snow. There were snow squalls with damaging winds, and there also was a rumble of thunder. So, you got those 3 things together, and that's a damaging thunderstorm with the precipitations falling down as snow. Now, that happened last week. It happened over other parts of the country as well. Monday, that happened, especially Monday in Pennsylvania. We had a Monday morning, temperatures dropped to 14 degrees in a certain city in Virginia. And on Wednesday, they tied the record at 82 degrees. But, that air mass originated from the Arctic, and it had a connection to the polar vortex. This air mass is also going to be cold enough for snow, but it's not an Arctic air mass. This is coming from the southern parts of Canada, also from the Pacific Ocean. So it has some type of a moderating effect. But nonetheless, it is expected to be cold enough for snow. Just the snow squalls are not going to be as intense because the temperatures in the upper atmosphere is not as cold. Therefore, the instability is less. The lapse rates are not as intense. So, but nonetheless, that's the forecast. You never know, right? Things could always get heavier. Following that, that's for the East Coast, but here in the Midwest, we will be under probably an area of high pressure for tomorrow, probably some dry conditions, which will push those temperatures up a solid 8-10 degrees today. The high temperature today was only in the upper 30s here in the Chicago area. On Shabbos, we see a low pressure system. There's an upper level trough along with a surface low that moves into the upper Midwest. Now, the upper level trough is going to be the main thing. That's going to be the strong thing because the surface low is going to be weak. Regardless of what it is or what part of the atmosphere it's occurring in, whether it's occurring 5,000 feet up into the atmosphere, which is approximately where the upper level ridge would be occurring, regardless of where it's occurring, the precipitation is forecast to fall as snow, perhaps in southern Wisconsin, possibly also on the Wisconsin-Illinois border. That's the Suffolk right now. There's a doubt. Will it be falling as snow? Do you have to go further into Wisconsin or on the Illinois-Wisconsin border? Now, perhaps the forecast discussion that would get a person most inspired about this would be the Chicago National Weather Service, which tells you that a period of heavy, wet snow will be developing over the area on Shabbos. Now, that area is referring to southern Wisconsin or the Wisconsin-Illinois border. Now, those words, a heavy, wet snow, well, what does it mean? It just means about an inch of snow if it does fall, and that would be occurring, again, Shabbos morning. That's when we have minimal solar insolation. So, despite the sun's high angle at midday, but the precipitation would be occurring late Friday night, early Shabbos morning. If it occurs later in the day, it would be falling as rain. We're going to have a dry slot here Sunday afternoon here in the Chicago area. Parts of the Midwest are really going to warm up big time on Sunday. Really big. St. Louis, Missouri, temperatures might hit 70 degrees, especially southwest Missouri, Branson, Missouri. Temperatures may hit 70 degrees on Sunday. And you have some Amarillo, Texas, going up into the low 80s. Temperatures going into the low, listen to this one. Temperatures going into the low 80s for Amarillo, Texas. That city it's known for just whiplash, just constant changes in temperatures. Low 80s Sunday, temperatures going into the low 40s Sunday night. Highs upper 50s on Tuesday. On Monday, lows going into the mid 30s Monday night. High temperature Tuesday in the mid 80s. How do you like that? 50-degree temperature rise on Tuesday. 50-degree temperature rise going back down into the 30s Tuesday night as a cold front comes through. So we have that 80s Sunday and 80s Tuesday, but only in the 50s on Monday, and temperatures in the 30s both Monday night and Tuesday night, 40s for Sunday night. That's Amarillo, Texas for you, but it also tells you a little bit about, in general, what the situation is going to be here. We have a big warm-up on Sunday. That cold front comes through, then another warm-up. Chicago is out of it. Chicago is just, we're going to have to wait till Wednesday before some mild air gets into our area, along with many other cities up here in the Great Lakes area. When you go down into Texas, they have some very serious heat. Records from over 100 years ago, record heat might be challenged by the mid part of next week. Brownsville, Texas, going into the upper 90s. That's either Wednesday or Thursday. That's not the only city. You have South Padre Island, temperatures generally in the low 80s, but there's that day on Thursday. It's probably Thursday, temperatures going into the mid 90s. That's record heat for both cities. One of them is possibly breaking a record from 1902 or so. The other one, 1919. Either way, it's over 100 years ago. Temperatures in the Falcon Lake, Texas, and Zapata, Texas, going up into the mid-90s to the low hundreds. Low hundreds over there. Breaking records there. Low hundreds. Death Valley, California, once again, temperatures going to 103. There's going to be a little bit of a heat wave in the desert Southwest as we go into the latter part of next week. Phoenix, temperatures go back well into the 90s, mid and upper 90s, and up to 103 in Death Valley, California. Yuma, Arizona might have an extra day or two of this heat. Nothing extraordinary, but temperatures in the upper 90s. We have what is remarkable is the fact that there might be another severe weather outbreak. We've already if the 30 tornadoes from yesterday are confirmed and all the severe weather from yesterday, this March, once that's confirmed, we're already holding at 187 tornadoes so far, either for the country and the South, probably for both. Once those, the most that's ever occurred is 190 something in the month of March. Once those 30 tornadoes are confirmed, this is going to be a record, the March with the most tornadoes. Realize back in 2020, we had almost no tornadoes at all during the entire spring. It was back during COVID, during the COVID lockdown. Very strange. But this March, it's likely that we broke a record for the most tornadoes ever in this country. AccuWeather tells us that trend is likely to continue into April with lots of severe weather. The East Coast also, we had plenty of tornadoes today. This morning broke, the most significant tornado was actually yesterday morning in Arkansas. 3 low pressure systems will be affecting on the map right now and will be affecting the United States over the next few days. One of them is on the East Coast. That front moves off. Then we have the other one coming through the Great Lakes on Shabbos. The next one comes through the southern states for the early parts of next week, but another one goes through the northern states. So, a place like St. Louis, they're saying, I think it's for Sunday or maybe Monday, that chances of precipitation, maybe it's Shabbos actually, chances of precipitation are going to be highest north in the Iowa, Wisconsin area, but also in Arkansas. That's for Shabbos. That is for Shabbos. Chances of precipitation, the most energy will be found in Wisconsin and Iowa and also in Arkansas. Those are the areas that are going to be showers, and some of that showers might fall as snow in the Iowa, Wisconsin area. So we have lots of ups and downs, especially when you go south of Chicago. Cleveland did make it into the 60s today, and Cherry Hill, New Jersey made it into the 70s today. Chicago couldn't get out of the 30s. And the next chance for snow next week, we have a storm system. We have the European computer model. One of those European computer models starting to take that midweek storm pretty far down south and does bring a chance of snow into the Chicago area, but that's after the 7-day forecast period, says the National Weather Service. It popped up in the National Weather Service forecast discussion for Chicago. So we have a little bit of snow tonight for the Chicago area, possibly a little bit of wet flakes on Shabbos, but most of that should stay north of us. There's a little bit of a disturbance moving through Sunday night and Monday. That's going to bring just some light rain. The big soaker, which that's very complex, the thing coming in through midweek, no one really knows exactly what's going to be going on except for the fact there'll be severe weather down south. Periods of rain and periods of dry weather expected through that Tuesday through Thursday period. But at the very end, the precipitation may end off as snow here in the Chicago area. Thank you for listening. I wish everyone a wonderful Shabbos and enjoy.